took her back.
Arizona is a beautiful place, geographically. Just absolutely gorgeous. As we drove through, we just marveled at the landscapes we were seeing. However, basically due to socio-political reasons, we decided it would be for the best if we just got through the state as fast as humanly possible.
You know, I don't want to play the race card or anything, but I'm the only Mexican in the band, and Mexicans are not very treated very nicely in Arizona, let's say.
Authentic Arizona iced tea.
We're all drinking Arizona iced tea. Just a couple of Arizona sticks with straw.
Laziest border patrol. A fucking bus pulls through there. An old bus that looks like it very well belongs in Mexico.
Drank a bunch of energy drinks and just blasted through the whole state of Arizona, and didn't rest until I got to New Mexico.
Pretty shitty. You can see fine now, but it was scary for a little bit. Shit, man.
What? Yeah, he's out in the desert. Driving through Texas was a rather interesting experience. I'd never driven through, at least the route that we went. And the roadside was dotted with these amazing little ghost towns, and we had the occasion to stop and poke around a couple abandoned buildings and just kind of see the land that time forgot.
So I have a really small bladder. Unfortunately, that meant for lots of stops along the way, but it forced us to stop in this ghost town in, was that Texas?
Oh my god! Ah! Holy shit. What do we do now? There's a truck stop. Look, that looks really promising, that truck stop right there. Everyone just go, holy shit, dude, we just, Jenna, you made us stop in a ghost town. And fucking turn notes.
I was a gimp on tour because 3 or 4 months before tour I had been hit by a car while I was riding my bike and I broke my ankle, and Obamacare hadn't kicked in yet, so I wasn't able to get the surgery that I needed.
Well, it was a little bit discouraging originally when we pulled into Austin and found out that our first show was in the hotel bar of the Best Western off alongside the freeway somewhere in Austin. No one really knew what we were supposed to be doing exactly, so we just kind of ended up hanging out and playing, but mostly to a crowd of 2 to 3 people. Certainly didn't compare to the rest of the shows that we had in Austin, like the Best Little Big Fest in Texas at the
Tiniest bar in Texas. Out of all of the shows, that particular show seemed the least interesting to me on paper, because we were going to play with a ton of other bands, and so we were going to have like this little slice of a set, and it was going to be at a tiny bar, and so I was thinking, you know, not a whole lot of people would be able to show up. But they had this huge outdoor seating, and tons of people were there. It was right next to South by Southwest. There was a lot of the foot traffic of South by Southwest. Oh, the devil! Oh, the devil! Oh, the devil! Oh, the devil! Oh, the devil with him! Oh, this feet watch red ass down to New Orleans, what I know. Lord have mercy on me.
am so mad at myself.
I've got $10.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so slow-mo, like you're running away from an explosion. Okay,
And then stop.
but I'm gonna move the bus now.
Our final performance while in Austin was at a spot called the Russian House. Now this was on one of the main streets during the very thick of South by Southwest. We had parked our tour bus just slightly over a mile away from the venue to kind of give you an idea of just how busy these streets were. Just to drive the bus, just that distance, 1 mile from where we parked it to the venue, took me no less than 4 hours.
The ish.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's a great idea.
Gypsy Rose too.
There was this one night when we played in Houston, and we played at this place called Mangoes, and I had never really been to Texas before, so we pulled up to this place. We ended up showing up and loading in and playing the set, and it was a really fun set. But one of the things that I remember most about that show was right after the set, the owner of the venue had cooked up this huge meal for all the bands. It was like a good Southern style crawfish boil, and so he had live crawfish that he had cooked. He had cooked corn and potatoes and all this amazing food and just gave it to the bands for free.
They had what they called an South by Southwest Overflow Festival at this place called Super Happy Funland. By the time we got there was not a tremendous crowd. We had already played a really fantastic show earlier that night. But it was probably the craziest, the weirdest place that I've ever played music in. They had a stage and all of that, but aside from that, there was nothing traditional about the venue. Just all the art and everything that was all over the place. An enormous collection of Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. A moderately frightening collection of Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, along with tons of stuffed animals hanging everywhere. But they were extremely cool people, and they, treated us really well. They fed us food. They kept giving me Irish car bombs till like 2:30 in the morning, so I couldn't really say anything bad about that show. It was a strange experience, however, in a very weird part of Houston, in a warehouse, but it turned out to be really awesome.
When we arrived in New Orleans, a lot of us were extra excited to be able to go and really absorb the culture. Many of us are highly influenced by the music that comes out of there.
I'm so glad that we got everything together and we went down and were part of the history of street music and music of the people coming out of that area.
Life in pockets and return to the skies above. You can't